missing. This is what we have not been told. We are being sold half of this story. The part that says, oh, take this herb, and this would heal you. This is not the case. The herbs are stimulus. They are sending messages to the nucleus in your cells. Sending a message is an instruction. The herbs are doing a wonderful job in instructing the nucleus. Now, that's why we would say milk thistle is good for the liver. It stimulates, it sends the message to the liver to say to the liver, make the compound, the healing compound known as glutathione. It says to the liver, when you make glutathione, maybe also it stimulates the bile. It might be stimulating other cells, but just let's stick with the liver. The milk thistle, the silymarin compound in the milk thistle, does not do the detoxification. It stimulates the liver to make glutathione. Glutathione does the detoxification. This is why we have to understand the Trio protocol. If we go to the point where we say, okay, this body is now stimulated, for example, in this case, we take milk thistle, so it stimulates the liver, this little one right here. The liver is now in a state where it's telling the nucleus of the liver is now in a state where it's going to command its ribosomes through the mRNA message to say, hey, create glutathione. Okay, so the nucleus takes those stimulus, external stimulation on the body, and translates it into some language called messenger RNA, sends that message to the ribosomes, and that is where the ribosomes, being a slave, cannot ask no question, cannot say, well, why am I making this glutathione, why am I meant to make this glutathione? No, it just takes command and it does the job. Let's look at that. So here is where this part, the nucleus, this big piece up here, this purple looking with the yellow, sends the message to these little purple ones there, ribosomes, and tell them, hey, make glutathione. At this point, with or without the knowledge of what glutathione is, we know it's a healing compound, or aka it's a human protein. All that the ribosomes would say, I need the amino acids, at least the 9 essential amino acids. It takes, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, and it knows how to combine them, whether it's 10 or 12 million, it knows how to combine these essential amino acids to make conditional amino acids and join them together to make the full glutathione product. It's the glutathione that goes to do the job now. The glutathione will get powered up, it's created, it becomes alive, it gets powered up, and then it goes to do the job of the detoxification. That is how most of the framework is being understood. Therefore, when you take your herbs and you do not pay, or you do not have a good source of amino acids in the absence of the presence of gut supplied glucose, then you find yourself into the healing trap. The herbs are for the healing. The herbs are for the stimulation or the messaging of the nucleus. They cannot create the amino acids. They cannot create the healing. Same thing for those electronic, biomagnetic, or pharmaceutical grade things. We have to put these things in to stimulate the processes. Once the processes get stimulated, the essential amino acids, at least the 9 essential amino acids, 8 or 9 essential amino acids plus the others, once they are present, the ribosome could then spin out the human protein. Our human protein creation is what takes the precedent. A lack of consumption of things like eggs and meat away from your plants, not with no plants. That is why in the evening to the night, when you are starting to go into the deep sleep, which is the state of restoration and healing. Protein creation for healing start taking place by the ribosomes. Most of the messages comes out there, and that is where you cannot sit and say, well, I'm going to go to bed on an empty stomach, or I'm going to eat breaditarian and go to bed. You might say, oh, what's breaditarian? Breaditarian sound like only bread you eating. Everything from a plant digests to glucose. We are not speaking about herbs, we're speaking about plant-based food. So whether it's your cereal, your great quinoa, your great beans, they are going to supply a large amount of glucose into the digestive process, up into the liver. Do you want to have glucose in your bloodstream while the healing proteins are being created? If you just decide you don't want to heal, that's fine. But if you want to heal, the presence of glucose when a healing compound is created, which is called the healing human protein, when that healing protein comes out of that cell to go to wherever it has to go, it needs a clean, clear pathway. The pathway is being created also by protein, but it does not need the presence of glucose, because the glucose will glycate it, whether it's in the cell or in the bloodstream. Glucose would glycate your young, new protein. Whether the protein is called an enzyme, an immune system protein, a hormonal protein, a neurotransmitter protein, whatever else, they are all proteins. We call them peptides, we give them various names. They are being disturbed in the night when they are going to do their job, because we as a human being is putting in excessive glucose. Let the liver deliver you. Let the liver deliver the amount of glucose that is required to the brain in the night and any other organ. The liver knows how to create glucose from its processes just in the right proportion to supply the organs that need glucose in the night. Supplying glucose in the night is a very risky business for human health. Thank you for today's session. Again, do not fall into this trap.